So we all know that the death of Nolan Wells has generated online discussion. Many people debating about race, many people debating about violence and public safety. So in the aftermath, we are seeing a lot of white people coming out and warning black Americans to stay away from black people, from white people, because even themselves, they don't feel safe around themselves. So they are coming out and they're warning black people to please, for your own safety, to stay away from, white people. Now, we are seeing a lot of white people expressing their concern. Some of these folks coming out as eyewitnesses, some of these folks coming out and explaining how they have seen people who are closest to them who are white sometimes misbehave, which shows their violent behaviors, right? So these reactions have really reflected a broad anxieties about race relationships in the United States. So one thing that stands out, white people are stepping in. They're stepping in to at least, the good white folks who are stepping in and talking about this and raising these questions and talking about these issues. Is it really safe for black people, for black teenagers in the US? It is a critical question that people are asking, because if we are seeing white folks coming out and warning black people to please stay away from white teenagers. If you have kids that are black teenagers, please make them stay away from white teenagers, because we have seen American having, there is this historical pattern that this is always happening. This is always happening. And ask an American, they'll tell you that this is an historical pattern that keeps on repeating itself. So people are stepping in to put an end in this. And the best possible way that people are suggesting, people are warning black teenagers, people are warning black parents to talk to their teenagers, to, make these kids understand that these people doesn't have the same psychology, So I really don't know what you'll think about this, but I want to give you a chance so that we can really get to watch what's really happening, and then I'll be back. I'll be sharing my thoughts in regards to this. And if you're watching me for the first time, I'm your host and presenter, Eugenic Stories. So let's get into it. I'll be back.
This is horrible to say, but black people, don't hang out with groups of white people on your own.
Black people have got to stop hanging out with groups of white people.
As a white individual, I don't even hang out with white people like that. Anytime a group of Caucasians have accumulated in a designated area, something bad's going to happen. And as a black person or a person of color, you don't need to be there. You don't. White people aren't safe. If you are the only black individual in that friend group, you don't need to be in that friend group. Get the fuck out of that friend group. What happened to Nolan Wells could happen to you. And I don't care how much evidence that law enforcement agency covers up and hides. If they classify him as a suicide or an accidental death, we all know that his friends, his supposed friends, they murdered him. There are so many black individuals who recently have been classified as suicides. We all know that they were lynched. Why? Because white people did something terrible and the law enforcement agency covered that shit up. Stop hanging out with white people. We are not safe. And unfortunately, under this administration, white individuals who have racist tendencies and who are racist, they feel emboldened enough that they know that they are going to get away with it. Stop hanging out with white people. Stop doing it. And trust me, I'm not offended if you are a black individual and you don't come near me and talk to me or any of that. You don't need to give me your time. Trust me, while I know I am a safe individual, you don't know I'm a safe individual. And while I try my best to outwardly say I am a safe individual, plenty of racist people say the same thing, and look how it ends up. Stop trusting white people.
This is horrible to say, but black people, don't hang out with groups of white people on your own. Whether it's on a boat, at a party, at a slumber party with a bunch of your friends, just don't do it alone. Unfortunately, you gotta hang out in groups because there are some bad people out there. There are some not bad people out there, but number one is your safety. And just don't do it. And who cares if it hurts somebody's feelings? And like I said, this is horrible but I have to say this. But it seems as if for your safety, you should think twice about doing that kind of stuff. Just some input on my end.
This is going to be a hot take, and it's either going to get me canceled or people are going to be like, you're right. So here we go. I'm just going to say it. Black people have got to stop hanging out with groups of white people. And I mean that. If you're going to be the only black person in that group, go home. Go home. Because these days, you just can't trust white people anymore. Obviously. It happens time and time and time again. You see one black person hanging out with their group of white friends, and they're like, oh, I've known these guys for forever. We grew up with them. I'm the only black person in the high school or something like that. Especially down here in the South, okay? Down here in the South. Obviously, we realize that these pieces of crap, the white people, will turn on you. They will turn on you quick. So not only do y'all have to be worried about the police, now you need to be worried about your group of white friends that you grew up with. And am I saying every white person's like that? No, obviously not. Okay, but better be safe than sorry, right? And that's a shame. But I just keep seeing it happen. And like over the past 2 or 3 years, especially, if you know what I'm talking about, people have just gotten louder and prouder about it. So really, it all boils down to like a lack of empathy these days. That's a whole nother subject though. But yeah, and don't come for me about my hair. I just got them running 5 miles.
Dear white people, black people are not safe in your presence. And before all of you idiot and anonymous trolls get in my comments talking about, no, all white people are bad, let me stop you right the fuck there. My parents taught me from a very young age to treat everyone with kindness, dignity, and respect, regardless of what they looked like. But being from Detroit, they also taught me about the challenges that I could potentially face as a black man growing up in America. I grew up with the understanding that most of us have the capacity to do good, including white people. However, white people, when they do wrong, also have the capacity to get away with it because of their privilege. So when I was reading the news about Nolan Wells' disappearance this morning, it immediately redirected my mind to all the lessons my parents taught me from when I was young. It would really be fucked up of me to say blame the parents, because I've seen enough of that bullshit online already. And his family's already been through enough. They know that their son is gone and isn't coming back home. But I do think that this story offers a cautionary tale to other parents raising black children, to educate them on the importance of discerning who their friends are, and to always be intentional about being in spaces where people have your best interests. And unfortunately, in a world that safeguards them from consequences of their own evil actions, that safety doesn't tend to be found in white people. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
The white girl said that the black people got to stop hanging with the white people. She knows something. If y'all ain't see it, here go the clip right here.
Black people have
But she knows
stop hanging out
something.
with
She said that they'll be cool with you. They'll act cool with you. The next thing you know, they gonna turn on you. She used Nolan Wells, for example. The little boy, the 18-year-old boy that went out on the boat on 4th of July with his 3 white friends. They was on the, boat and whatever, swimming and doing all these other kind of things. And all of a sudden, the boy ended up missing. He's gone. Body was found. He's dead. What the fuck happened? For this white woman to sit here and say that she knows something, she experienced something, she saw it, and whatever. But on the other foot, we welcome that community. Black people don't cause no, in my opinion, well me, I don't, cause any harm to any white person. I be welcoming y'all to the cookout. Huh? But for this girl to sit here and say that, I don't care. You safe for the black person. I don't give a fuck. Until you switch on them and you change on them, then that's a whole nother story. But anywho, y'all, what do y'all think? Because the girl said it, the white girl said it, that we need to stop hanging with the white folks.
The way this country talks about black victims versus white victims is disgusting. Nolan Wells' body was found yesterday off the coast of Mississippi. If you didn't know, he was presumed missing and dead on July 4th. It is America's 250th birthday, and we're still dealing with this bullshit. He was celebrating with his friends for the 4th of July, and there's now circulating video that is going very viral of what looks to be him and his friends that he went with on the beach, and there's an argument. There's yelling happening. In the video, he looks to be very calmly standing still looking at his buddies. And somehow, the conversation is about his behavior. Why wasn't he on the boat? Was he drinking? Was he going from one boat to another? Now, I'm going to give you a scenario. It's kind of morbid, so stick with me, and trigger warning. If I show up dead, washed on a beach, my community of people where I was born are not going to go, well, how was Jake acting? Did he stay where he was supposed to? Did he start an argument with people? No, it's going to go, what the We have someone that would kill people out here? Jake, I love that guy. He plays for the football team. I'm just putting myself in Nolan's shoes. Nolan plays for the team. He's friends with those people. And the conversation is about his behavior. Just so frustrating. Like, racism is still alive and well just in the dialogue. Just in the dialogue. As simple as that. I just want this country to do better. And I see a future where we just stop with this bullshit and start going like, man, this kid was killed. Like, his on the 4th of July, he is celebrating with everyone. And he can't even do that. We can do better. We gotta do better. Oh, and apparently one of the friends' moms is a local judge. And if you think that will work in Nolan's favor, you clearly don't know anything about the history of young black men in this country. This isn't gonna go anywhere. We have to speak up about it.
Not all white people, but 50% of my family is white, and all the white friends I've ever had in my life have at least said one fucked up thing to me at least once. All the people I've ever dated, all the white people I've ever dated have said at least one fucked up thing to me at least once. Yeah. Not all white people, but I recently moved out of a roommate situation. And I think she thought it was maybe my journal. I don't know if it's hers or the one from like the other roommate before me. But I saw some racist ass drawings in that journal. And it's weird as hell. Not all white people, but my white mom had a racist doll when I was a kid, and I found it, and I was so naive that I loved that doll. I love that doll. She has told me that she raised me harsher and meaner and with more discipline than if I would have been white, because of the fact that she knows how black women can be. And this is my mom. This is my own mother. So, but not all white people, right? Not all white people. Until I fucking realized, until I got older and fucking realized that this is not even the only fucked up thing that my own mom did. Not all white people, but I moved out of a roommate situation once in the past, like a couple years ago, because I thought they would end up by me. And because one of the girl's boyfriend, not only it was her cousin, okay, but he was also a rapist. And the person, he was a black woman. And at that time, it was years ago, I was the only black person in the whole roommate situation. We were 4. But not all white people, right? Not all white people, but for around 10 years of my life, I was friends with this girl that was clearly using me as a trophy friend and didn't give a fuck about me And this is weird as hell coming from a white woman. Something I've learned really fucking fast during my early 20s is the fact that your white friends are always gonna disappoint you. Always. Oh, and one last thing. Not all white people, but my partner's ex-friend, because recently they broke things off. He's a white man. His friend, my partner, is biracial as well, and he told him that he was dead to him rather than wanting and creating this safe space for my partner to express his feelings. So the white man that my partner was friends with didn't give a fuck about my partner's feelings. And this is weird as fuck. You know what? Shit, I realized I have more examples about this. Okay? So I'm gonna keep going. Okay, not all white people. But last year I was trying to get back to school. And this teacher was weird as fuck, was like weirdly obsessive over my hair. And she would literally, one time, she literally took my hair and threw it like this in the air in front of the whole class. Not all white people, but they always make some racist ass fucking jokes, and it's always supposed to be so funny. I feel sorry for y'all, for real. If you think that racist jokes are cool, I feel fucking sorry for you. Not all white people, but they're so stuck in their whiteness, they don't even realize it. I've had people ask me if racism is still a thing. How the fuck are you not seeing stuff happening all around the globe? All around the fucking globe. And you're gonna ask me if racism is still a thing? Ugh. Not all white people, but when you have boundaries, it begins to be a fucking problem to them. Why? Because I'm supposed to be your fucking animal circus? I'm supposed to be your fucking animal? I'm supposed to be your pet? Truly disgusting. Not all white people, but they treat you as if you're literally below them all the fucking time, everywhere you go. But not all white people. We love to say that shit, right?
This tragic outcome of Nolan Wells is exactly why Carmelo Anthony did what he felt like he had to do to protect himself. It's exactly why he felt like he had to go to the extreme in self-defense, because the presence of white people is sometimes just dangerous. We never know what the outcome is going to be. The mere presence of y'all is enough to feel like our lives could be in danger. And I'm not comparing these two young black teenage boys for shits and giggles. I'm talking about it because I saw a lot of folks, black folks included, talking about Carmelo Anthony and be like, well, you know, like, he deserves to be punished. He deserves to have the justice system against him. He deserves this because he did too much and it wasn't self-defense. But we just don't like the fact that he got this sentencing. And I found that to be a collective gaslighting of black folks in America, of our history, and us knowing what could happen. We have always existed with the reality that no matter what we do, lethal force could be used against us. Just existing could be something that's dangerous for us. And so while we were talking so much about Carmelo Anthony's case and whether or not what he did justified the means in which he got out of that tent with the white boys, we are now collectively grieving alongside a family who's mainly grieving a young black teenage boy. And I think for some of y'all, that's easier because that's the story you're used to. That's the story that comes with, oh, grief and sadness and, oh my gosh, I can't believe that he didn't make it back. How could all his white friends come back with the boat and then leave him out there? But then when we have young black kids who see these stories, understand these stories, we have to process these stories. What does that tell us about who is dangerous to us? Who is dangerous? If we can't even trust y'all to be our friends, imagine the fear that happens. When you pressing up against us and showing yourself to be a danger, or showing that you might touch me or that you might try to hurt me, I'm going to use whatever force possible to make it out of that situation alive. Carmelo Anthony and Nolan Wells, two situations that are happening in the same landscape. And unfortunately, because of how y'all act, white supremacists, you can't divorce these situations from each other. So the next time you're wondering why a young black kid or a black teenager or a black adult might respond in a way that you deem really over the top to make sure they make it out alive, ask yourselves why we feel like our lives are always in danger around you. Y'all are so comfortable with black grief. You're used to black grief. That's what you're used to. That's the story that you are accustomed to. Your nervous system is used to black grief. I'm not going to do that. You're not going to see me grieving this. You're going to see me bringing it back to you. And why? If this shit keeps happening, some of your sons might not come back home either.
So the same thing that happened to Nolan Wells almost happened to me. I think I was like 22 years old working at Texas Roadhouse. You know what I mean? Young, silly, forgot a couple of the things that my granddaddy told me when I was growing up. But at any rate, every year, the employees and managers, they would take this little, resort, and it wasn't really a resort, it was in the country, and they would take a couple of canoes, some ice chest of beer, and you know what I mean, everybody was out there smoking, you know what I mean, and I'm like, man, that sounds like a good time. And mind you, I can swim, been swimming since, I don't know, maybe it was 4 years old when I jumped in the pool for the first time. But at that point in time, I thought these people were my friends. Another lesson my grandparents taught me when I was younger is that you don't have any friends. You know what I mean? You really do not. Like, my siblings were always my friends, and I learned that. At any rate, I signed up to go on this, little trip with these people. And, it was good at first. It was, the water was kind of shallow. You know what I mean? We maybe had 6 or 7 canoes out there, music, people having a good time. And, I'm not really used to that, and I'm not having a good time. But usually when me and my kinfolk get together and play music that loud, and it was as rambunctious as they were, and because the whole time I'm looking around like, when the police showing up? We smoking weed out loud and everything. So mind you, and after a while I got comfortable into it, you know what I mean? Everybody told me, loosen up, but I'm on edge, you know what I mean? For many reasons. And so the trip continued, and at one point in time, they let us know, okay, so we're gonna get up on the bank right here, and then we're gonna go see the waterfall. So I'm like, oh, okay, so but what we gonna do at the waterfall? You know what I mean? Because I'm vibing, but at the same time, I'm not stupid. And they was like, we're just gonna look at the, sit there, light a fire, smoke some more, drink some more. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we get to the little spot where we pull up the canoes, we anchor them off and whatnot, and then they tell us, okay, so this little piece of water right here, we got to swim across that to get to the waterfall. I hate when people add extras to a plan. You know what I mean? Especially for me, I think into a lot of things, and I got a plan. So I'm still like, cautious, and I'm watching everybody dive in this water, you know what I mean, and swim right across. You know what I mean? And I hadn't jumped in yet because I'm still leery. I don't know what it was, but it was holding me back. But so I'm the last person. Everybody, come on, let's go. So I jump in, and I get almost halfway through over that water to the other side. And then I realize that I'm swimming rather hard and ain't moving nowhere. Long story short, nobody told me that there was a strong current at this spot and you needed to be prepared. At this point, I'm smoking and drinking. So I couldn't understand. Just get back to the story. So I get halfway through the water, and I realize that, and I'm losing my strength slowly but surely. And at this point in time, I am calling out for help. No music is playing at this time. You know what I mean? None. Yeah, everybody was rambunctious, excited, whatever, but you could clearly hear me out there in the woods. It's still daylight. So I am screaming that I can't make it. Somebody please help me. They turn around, several of them look at me, say, you can do it, come on, let's go. And they continue to walk off. At this point in time, I have already said my prayers and have already decided that I'm going to meet my maker. I scream one more time, I am going to drown, and I went down. I don't know can't remember who it was and what made them decide to change their mind and come back, but one person jumped in that water, grabbed me, pulled me up onto the bank, and mind you, they didn't do anything else after that and continued on their way. So I said all of this to say that I have Caucasian friends, you know what I mean? And I ain't saying friends. I have Caucasian people that I love and care about. You know what I mean? Because that's what God said. But I will be honest with you. It is a lesson that the elders taught us as young black children The same lesson that I'm sure you're telling all your children now. Do not be the only one. And it really doesn't matter how people feel about that, because the concern is preservation of life. So for some reason, God saw fit to not allow me to lose my life that day. And for some reason, God called Nolan home. So I will say that despite what anybody feels about how you feel about the situation, please have that conversation with your children. And that's all I'm gonna say. Rest in peace, Nolan Wells, and to his entire family.
Okay, so I'm not a lawyer, but I have some questions for those 3 raggages that took Nolan out there to Horn Island and did what I believe them to have done. I have to say allegedly here because I don't have any proof of it, but I have some questions because a lot of this shit ain't making sense. Before I get to those questions, I want to let y'all know that I do believe Horn Island falls under federal jurisdiction, so that would open up federal FOIA as well as state public records requests in case you needed to know. Question number 1, how did y'all expect Nolan to get home? If you call yourselves friends, this place is boat access only. You brought him there, which means if you left an 18-year-old on a barrier island that is boat access only with no way off. So if you left, that means you either assumed that he caught a ride or you didn't fuck care. Either way, how did you expect him to get home? Question number 2, how much time passed from the last time you saw Nolan physically to the time that you motherfuckers got on the boat to leave? And what were you doing during that time? Then question number 3 is, when exactly did Nolan become separated from his cell phone? Who had it? And then who returned it to the family? Because see, one thing I know for sure is that he is not voluntarily coming up off his phone on a barrier island hanging out with you motherfuckers. So y'all need to go in and tell the truth and answer these 3 questions, because y'all got a lot of fucking to do, even though we already know what the you did, allegedly. But see, in addition to those questions, they also said that Nolan's phone was found on the mainland. If Nolan's phone was found on the mainland, that means that some cell carrier has the pings and the timestamps from his phone on or near Horn Island. That's a timestamp that is very critical to this entire case, and I would want to see that shit if I were a lawyer or an investigator. Oh, and by the way, Mississippi has boat registration. So once you find out what boat those friends used, then you can get the registration number that's tied to an owner. Once you have that, that's tied to insurance records. When you have that, that will tell you whether or not the vessel has GPS and navigation in it. Because if it does, you can subpoena that if you were trying to put together a case. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not saying that that's what I would do. I'm just simply saying that is something that is fucking possible. And then while I was waiting on that GPS information to come back, I would also hit up the Gulf Islands National Seashore Rangers, because they patrol that area as well. And I would want incident reports and activity logs and contact records, anything on the day of July 4th. Because again, if I were a lawyer and I were trying to put together a case, this is the type of information that's going to help me in the background. And then while you're sitting in your car after talking to those Rangers, I want you to go ahead and hop up on the phone and call Jackson County, because Christine says she reported him missing late Saturday night. So you need to get all of the CAD records. It stands for Computer Aided Dispatch. You need to get all the CAD records from Jackson County on that day, because if no one else called, that's a note worth keeping, don't you think? And then while you're waiting on those dispatch logs, why don't you also call the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, who also had officers on the water that day? Patrol activity, contact records, citations, anything. Anything could be of assistance to this, because no matter what, we need to find out everything that happened for Nolan, for his family. Because I'm telling you right now, this is foul play, in my opinion. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just saying what I believe, and I am speaking out of emotion, and that's protected by the First Amendment. But this is foul play. Peace.
Dear liberal white women, you know how you get kind of annoyed with the good guys who say, like, I'm not like those other guys, I'm a good guy. And you're like, yeah, but you are just like them, because you don't stand up for us, and you're just quiet whenever you hear a misogynistic joke. You just play along. That's how we feel about you. That's how Black women feel about you. Because we'll see you on this app making think pieces and talking about how you support this and how you voted for Kamala and this and that. But then when we're in the office with you as the only Black person in that office, and you watch us get berated, bullied, all sorts of things, you're just quiet. You don't say anything. You don't stand up for us. You just, Or when a Black mom comes to your all white mommy and me play group, you might not say something racist to that mom, but you don't include them. You give them the cold shoulder. You act like, because you want to fit in with your friends. Or when you go to your all-white churches and a Black family comes, again, you might not go up and say something racist, because you would never, but you're not there to welcome them. You give them that cold shoulder, that cold vibe. That's why we don't trust you. So you will get on this app and say all these things, but in real life, we see how you are. And this is really personal to me, because I made the mistake of really thinking that liberal white women were a safer space. And I had multiple white liberal women friends. And when I tell you, I had to learn the hard way that those women did not have my back. When shit hit the fan, they did not have my back. And they ran right back to their whiteness, just like the conservative right-wing MAGA. There was absolutely no difference. And it was really, really hurtful and really scary to realize that. And I have a lot more discernment now. And obviously I'm speaking broadly. I know this is not every liberal white woman. There are definitely those who advocate for us. So hear me when I say I'm not saying all of you, but I'm saying a very large portion. And I feel like we are gaslit when we get on this app and we're like, Black women, we really don't trust white women. And they're like, we don't know why. Like, we're the liberal ones, we're the good ones. And it's like, yeah, but you don't show up like that in real life. Please let your actions be the same as what you say. If you're going to make think pieces and you're going to talk about how you're such an advocate, please be an advocate in real life as well.
I'm from Mississippi, and on the 4th of July, my son's best friend came with us to my family's get together, and their friend is Black, and he was the only Black person. My son's friend was obviously going to be protected with us, as are all of our Black friends, because I'm very aware of how racist people can be in Mississippi. And I even told my kids before we left for my family's 4th of July thing that if anyone said anything racist, that they knew that their mama was going to speak up, say something, because I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're my own family. I'm going to call you out on your racist BS, and that we would immediately leave, because I'm not going to tolerate that ever. So my kids know that about me, but I also want to make sure that they know that we have to speak out no matter who it is. I don't care if it's family. People come out and are saying, you need to warn your kids about being the only Black person amongst a group of white people, especially in certain places around here. Very much so. I agree with it. I'm always telling my kids, if you are with your friends who aren't white and you're around any certain area and someone comes out saying racist stuff, you have to be the one that speaks up. You have to intervene. When my kids were little and they would go play basketball at another guy's house, his neighbor always hung a Confederate flag. And I would tell my boys, if y'all are set on playing basketball there at your friends, please know if that man ever comes outside of that house, you have to be the one to speak to him. Do not let your Black friends try to say anything, because you never know what that man might do to them. So as a white parent who is very aware of the racism here and everywhere, in most places, unfortunately, it is my job to make sure I educate my children, simply not on being not racist, but I want to teach them, and I do teach them, how to be anti-racist and how to use the privilege that they have as a white person around here to make sure that they're the ones speaking up and intervening to protect all their friends who aren't white, because they're going to be viewed differently than their Black friends. And so they have to do that. They have to step in. So if you're a white person and you get offended by people saying, don't let your Black children be the only Black person going somewhere with a white family, we should not be offended. We should be very aware of what they have to deal with all the time. And it doesn't matter if we're the exception to that rule. We should understand where they're coming from, and then also do our part to make sure we're educating our children on how to be better stewards of the privilege that they have, especially in these places, and to make sure that they're protecting their friends.
So, brothers and sisters, we all know that this phenomena is something which is embedded in the long history of racial violence in the United States. Reminds us from the time of slavery and the era of lynching, goes down to, segregation and hate crimes. Black Americans have faced periods in which violence was used to enforce racial hierarchy and intimidation. So historians have also documented that racial violence often has broader social effects, influencing where people lived, worked, traveled, and sought justice. Because of this history, new incidents involve race are often interpreted within the context of those earlier patterns. It is a continuation, of the patterns of, all these things that are going on. But at the end of the day, we need to ask ourselves this question: When is it safe for black teenagers? When is it safe for them? Because now we are seeing it to an extent where we are seeing white folks stepping in and really trying to, warn black folks. So, brothers and sisters, I looked at the advices that people are giving in the comment section in regards to this, and you can definitely see the frustration that is still in the comments of people. But it is valid because this is the reality of the matter. This is what is really going on currently. This is what is really going on right now, and people are sharing their thoughts and their opinions in regards to this. And I just want to ask you, as the person who is watching this video, what do you really think is the right way to go for this? Because we have been seeing a repeated pattern. And this is not something that is just starting right now. This is something that has been going on for a while. America is seeing a pattern of racial violence going on in the US. And the question that we are asking, it is a critical question that we are asking. And the critical question that we are asking is, when or how will this be put a stop to? We are also questioning criminal justice. Why aren't you working so fast when it is a black person who is a victim? And why are you working so fast when a white person is a victim? We are asking critical questions in regards to this. So, brothers and sisters, I wanted to share the opinions of people in the comment section who are also talking about these, phenomena, right? Somebody said that when a white person is out with a group of black friends, we don't lose them. They don't get lost with us. But it is a vice versa when it happens to them. So this also reflects that there is a problem. There's a problem. There's a problem with white folks. I don't know if it's a psychosis that needs to be looked into. I really don't know. Right. Somebody said that I hear you loud and clear, white America, and thank you so much for your honesty. I appreciate it, and I will stay away from you all. Yeah, and as much as it is painful, it is painful to do that, but that's the best and the safest thing that I think they can do, judging on what's really going on currently with the safety of what's been going on. Baby, my big mama been told us this. I worked with a group of white women that ended up getting jealous and doing witchcraft on me. Foolish of them. They had no clue who I was. Right scheme, wrong queen, baby. Some of us are truly protected. She shared experiences which seems not to be, something to celebrate or to commend. Or somebody also shared that I had a lady at the store try to be sneaky and take my turn. Of course, she said, I don't know. Well, you know now that I was next. She saw my things on the other lane and just went around it, and she saw me placing things on the next aisle. I had to say, let me hurry up and get out of here. My sisters that I met for the first time laughed because we have that unspoken language. Sick of the entitlement of passive aggressiveness. Right. Somebody also shared that black fathers in interracial relationships not tell their mixed children about these things. It seems as if they are trying to disconnect from the black community so much that they forget that racism still exists. Their own wives will say off the cuff things to them, and they just laugh, and the children seem to always have some trauma, especially if the wife has some white children from another marriage. Black mothers warn their mixed children, and they are not disillusioned. Right. Somebody also shared that I have to say this. I have gone to high school and worked mostly around or with Caucasian people. Now, I have witnessed and experienced the low-key racism, but one thing I don't know, even the one Caucasian that may not tried with the racism will remain quiet. All while others band together and lie, invent stories, CTOA, afraid to speak up and speak out because they stick together, especially if and when. It's crazy, right? Now you're hearing from what people are sharing, hearing from people's comments. It really tells you something that you really need to pay attention to, something that you really need to know, right? This is the last comment that I'm gonna be sharing. Somebody shared that I'm an indigenous Black American Marine veteran. I went swimming with a white female friend of mine in Europe. I drove in the water and I stayed underwater for about 2.5 minutes. It is very unusual to anyone to be underwater that long. She thought I had drowned and came up out with water laughing. I asked her, why didn't you drove in to save me? She said, I know you could swim. I told her, no, you didn't know I could swim because I never told you I could swim. Why didn't you just jump in to save me? She told me that she didn't know. Be advised, I was the only black person only on the beach. I just wanted to prove a point, to let the beach goers know. Don't F with me because I'll drown your asses. I usually can stay underwater for around 3 minutes. That's enough time to disappear from most danger, if needed. I learned how to swim as a child. I used to play around with my cousins. I like see who can drown who. A lot of white people probably play these games as well. In the case of Nolan Wells, those white boys murdered him with blunt trauma or facts. So brothers and sisters, in as much as this is crazy, I just really want to know what you'll think about this, right? As you know, I'm your host and presenter Judek Stories, but until then, let me see you in my next video. Until then, peace, love, and harmony. Salute.